So these stages of alchemy are actually pointing to the emotional integration and individuation process. That is how you turn the lead of consciousness into gold. Carl Jung said, it is not by imagining figures of light that we awaken, but by looking into the darkness, by going into the shadow. Now that is not verbatim, I butchered it a little bit, but that's relatively what he said. And this is really what alchemy is. Alchemy is an embodied process. What is embodiment? It is the expression of emotion, the awareness of sensation, the somatic experience of being a human below the mind. Because the mind, the way our consciousness developed, we formed an ego, which is actually separate from, in the sense that it views the world conceptually. It views the world as if like on a screen, like it's watching it, right? The body is actually one with the world. Yes, we're physically separate, but if you were to be able to really sense your body, if you really drop in and feel your body, like right now, sense your shoulders, sense your chest, sense your feet on the ground. Relax your gaze. Feel the space just beyond your hands. Feel the space beyond your head, around your shoulders. You could sense that the body actually extends infinitely. That is why yogis and occult adepts are able to shrink to the size of a molecule and experience the inner world, or expand their consciousness into the farthest star in the cosmos. This is the meaning of as above, so below, as within, so without. We are a microcosm of the macrocosm, right? And so this body is actually the universe. It's like all one thing, right? Like imagine we're in like jelly or something. Like space connects this all. So it's not actually separate. But the mind is separate in the sense that it is the intellect. That's what birthed the experience of separation. We didn't always have that. I go into this in so many videos on my channel. Watch the one on the real Christ. I go into all of this. I'm not going to get into it here. What I want to focus on is the process of alchemy in the body. Because all of the shadows that we experience in our mind, all of the negative thoughts, the loops, they're rooted in the body. The body is actually like the storehouse for the unconscious mind. So it holds all of the wounding and all of the imprinting, all of the cellular memory. In psychology, this is called implicit memory or bodily memory. It actually can't be accessed by the mind. It cannot be accessed by the mind. They've proven this. This is why talk therapy does not work for trauma integration. Okay? And so if we're really looking to turn the lead of consciousness in the gold, we have to go to the body. The mind cannot access it. So this is what I'm saying in all my videos. You guys see me saying, I'm not like bashing meditation and spiritual practice, but people hurt themselves by not placing it into context. It's like you're trying to use a freaking leaf blower to mow your lawn. It's just the wrong tool. If you use it to blow leaves, it's great. But if you're trying to cut grass, it's not going to get you anywhere. So the process of alchemy is an embodied process. I hope you can start to see that now, to see why. Because the shadow lives in the body, it can't be accessed by the mind. And so we have to descend into the body to actually transform our lower nature. I use that word very loosely. Lower does not mean worse than, wrong, bad. It's not that we have to fix this. We're not trying to overcome ourselves. In my opinion, that is an outdated verbiage. That verbiage doesn't really apply to today, because what we're being called today is to actually clear and integrate collective trauma. And if you approach, like, just look at the world, look at COVID, look at what we've all been through. What's surfacing is trauma. What's surfacing is relational dysfunction. And if you approach those things from the orientation of transcendence, of we need to overcome this, you're only going to exasperate it, because the parts that live within you that are wounded, that drive this shadow behavior, what you're doing is shaming them by saying that. And so all that's going to do is amplify the behavior, okay? So this, again, I have a video on the relationship between trauma and spirituality. I'm touching that a little bit here. You could check that out. I'll probably link it somewhere so you could see it, or just go through my channel. But the way density, in order to be able to process density in the body, we have to approach it. So I'm weaving in certain pieces here. I brought you in with the alchemy, but what I'm really giving you is how to heal. That's what I'm giving you. And we're gonna go into the alchemy piece too. But I had to get y'all in, you know what I'm saying? But this is real shit. This is what I work with people on. This is what my course is about. This is what my coaching is about. If you want to check those out, I'll put links in the description. But this, you don't have to. This video will give you a lot. I got you. I'm here for you. I got you, okay? In order to work with density in the body, we have to, the body is like is the feminine. And if you try to force a woman to open, it's not going to happen. Like, it doesn't work that way. You have to, like, there has to be the mood and the energy, and you have to let them, there has to be safety. There has to be safety. In order for alchemy to occur, there has to be safety. If you're trying to transcend something, you're shaming it, unsafe, not going to open. Not going to happen. It might work for a little bit, but it's not sustainable. It's not holistic, it's not integrative, it's actually fragmentive. It causes further division between the various parts that live in your psyche. If you're not familiar with that, check out my video on embodiment. Maybe I'll make a video on parts work. But at any rate, to bring this back to the actual, like, ancient alchemical process, if you were to look up the 7 stages of alchemy, one of the first stages is putrefaction. It's a stage of decomposition. So that's what you're experiencing when you're experiencing your depression, when you're experiencing your emotional upheaval, when you're experiencing the dissolution of your life, the dark night of the soul. Excuse me. Right? It's that the stage of putrefaction. There are things actually decomposing. And if we're trying to always get above that, we're not actually letting the process complete. This is the first phase. There are 7 stages of alchemy, but 3 phases. The first phase is the negretto, the blackness. So you see the decomposition happens in the negretto phase, which is the blackness. Okay? And there is an old alchemical maxim that says you'd rather have the element stay in the blackness for too long than for not long enough before moving on to the next stage, which is what the heck is it called? It's the white. It's when it's white, or is it red? There's 3 stages. It's black, red, and white. I don't remember if the second one's red or white. I'm like trying to anchor in a lot of information for you right now, but what I'm trying to say is that first stage, you want to let that you really fully alchemize, fully happen. And how we do that is not by bypassing our emotions, not by bypassing low vibrations. I'm not saying to intentionally, like, suffer or anything like that, or live in it, no. But what is accessed in that state, this is also, I'm going to bring in another term called the black sun. The black sun is a light that only shines in the darkness. It's actually it's a more subtle and nuanced light, right? It is it's feminine. Again, there's this concept of the feminine, of the womb, of the darkness, of the internal gestation. It's the lunar, it's the descent, the mud, the muck, the earth. And we have this people talk about the patriarchy, but they don't understand just how deep this orientation towards the masculine has gone. I'm not talking about men. This is energetic. We have this ascent, this solar, this light, and it's very human. Like, of course, we want to gravitate towards that. Makes sense, right? But we're actually leave out the rich potential of the underground. That is where the seeds first sprout, where the seeds of new life blossom. It's in the dirt. It's in that darkness. And if you know how to navigate the darkness, that's when you truly become powerful. That's when you truly become embodied. It's not by avoiding it. True power is not by avoiding negative emotions. To give you a practical example of this, like, if you start to go into embodiment practice, like, I've been going through really deep layers of grief and pain from my past, right? And if you just sit in that, if you just loop in your mind, and you're just gonna suffer because nothing's alchemizing, because you're not actually in the laboratory, you're not in the process, you're separate from it, you're in the intellect, you're viewing it. And so when you can learn how does grief actually move through your body, what shape does it take on, what sound does it make? 3 keys: breath, sound, movement. Those are basics of embodiment practice. And again, check out my channel. I have a video on embodiment. I have techniques. Go to my Instagram as well. I have tons of stuff on there, tons. Or again, if you want direct support, link below to apply for coaching. I got you. But let me get back to this example. So if you're using these practices and you're actually going safely, a huge piece of this is doing this safely, which is why nervous system work is so important as well. Okay, so there's a lot here. If you just go in and like scream and rage, like that's not what we're doing, It's not what we're doing. So when we can start to work with the emotion, it will start to shift. It will start to turn into something else. That's alchemy. That's the transmutation process. That's what this art form is pointing to. That's what this spiritual system is showing us. The body's the laboratory. That's where all this shit lives. That's where it lives. Come on. So what you'll start to experience, for example, when I'm doing this grief, when I can really be with it, I'm not trying to get anywhere. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm not trying to make it go away. Because that's the masculine trying to fix the feminine. We all know that doesn't work. If you've been in a relationship, you know. So there's so many nuances here, and that's why this is an art form. It's a practice. It's not a one and done. It's a practice. Practice. Y'all talking about practice. So when we can really be with that emotion and get to the point where it's organically being released, we're not forcing it, it will transform into aliveness. It will transform because you didn't deny this life force within you, and you let it open and move. It connects you and you feel alive. We don't actually want to just live in this state. We're not in oneness. That's not where we are. We have to be where we are. We're in contrast. And so we use this contrast to increase the amount of light we can experience, to increase. The more you go into one end of the spectrum, for example, the shadow, the greater your capacity for the light, for the joy. Okay? So that's how this works. Usually underneath your anger, there's huge creativity, life force, sexuality, sensuality waiting to bubble up in you. It's another example. So this is the process of alchemy. And I'm only even touching here on the first phase, the first stage. But I don't want to overwhelm you with information. So we'll pause here for now. But again, if you're looking for support with this, please feel free to reach out. Drop comments with any questions you have. I will answer them. If you have specific questions, I got you. Subscribe. I want to build a community here. I want to hear from you. I want you to let me know what's landing, what's not. What are you understanding? What do you need me to clarify on? I want to do that. I want to serve you in that way. So this is the first video on alchemy. I'll definitely be doing more. There's so much I could say on this topic. There's so much to tie it into, but it is an embodied process, and this is where like the inner work becomes exciting, because we're bringing in this magic and mysticism into it in a really grounded way, that there's magic in the mundane and the human, and it's just exciting. I love it. I'm super passionate about it. So thank you for being here with me. Thank you for watching. And I'm excited to get to commune with you more. I'll see you in the next video.